Oh my goodness, I'm so excited. I have Jamie Dana here with us on the Beauty Pro podcast, and she's going to talk about all the things.
Yay! I'm so excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Okay, so just a little background from I have been stalking you for a while, right? And you
Okay.
just saying it real.
I
Um
love it.
you've been traveling.
Yeah.
Okay. Which is
Yeah.
all like that's all fabulous.
Yeah.
And it's all great. But can we just okay, let me rewind. Can you just introduce yourself first?
Yes. I love it. Well, hi, I'm Jamie Dana. I have been in the industry for, oh my gosh, since 2011, which is crazy. So 15 years. And yeah, I've done pretty much everything you can do in the hair industry. And that's like my little fun thing. I'm like, I've been an assistant, commission stylist, rental stylist, suite owner, salon owner, educator, content creator, consultant for brands. Like I've done so much in this industry. And that's like one reason why I love this industry so much is because there is just so much opportunity and you don't have to go like one specific way. You can do so many different things. Like testament to you, right? Like you have a podcast, and I just think that that's the coolest thing about this industry. So I just feel so grateful that I have been able to do so much. And yeah, I love this industry. I have such a passion for hairstylists. I have a passion for helping hairstylists really grow their business because I believe that every hairstylist should make good money and have a life that they love. So that is why I'm here. And that's like kind of why I continue to do this. I've been doing education for over 10 years as an independent educator online, one of the very first like online course creators, online content creators. And yeah, that's why I like keep showing up every day is for hairstylist salon owners and like beauty pros to help them build a business they love.
I love that. What's your
Yeah.
favorite like pinpointed topic when it comes to teaching them?
So good. So my specialty has been Instagram. That's what I've taught like this whole time. I was the very first person to teach Instagram specifically to the beauty industry. So obviously that's like my baby, my love. But I love to talk about like finances. I love to talk about like business in general.
Yeah.
And I think that it's like the unsexy side of the industry that a lot of people don't want to talk about. Or I think as hairstylists, we're so creative that like, of course, we want to go learn the newest technique, the newest balayage, the newest haircut, the newest whatever, the newest trend on TikTok. But at the same time, like we have to understand our business. And that is what truly allows us to have a business and life we love. And if we don't do that, or if we ignore it, or we ignore things like our finances, then we're not going to be able to get there. We're just going to constantly be kind of like, just getting our head above water. And that's not what I want for hairstylists. I believe,
Mhm.
again, that hairstylists should have a life that they love. So unfortunately, we do have to focus on the unsexy stuff, the non technical side, the business side. So that is what I would say I'm most passionate about. But I also love teaching a good highlight technique, a good balayage, a good haircut. So I do love teaching that too.
I love it. Okay, all right. So there's the intro, everybody, if you're watching and listening. But now let's get to the juicy stuff, okay?
The juicy stuff, yes.
So you traveled the whole world,
Mm-hmm.
which I actually have like super curly hair, and this is so funny. I feel like I am limited because my curls are so crazy. I'm a perfectionist. I'm like, I don't know if I could stay in a hostel. Sorry, my
Yeah,
hair. But
yeah.
anyway, you did it. And what was the moment that you were like, I'm going to be a global vagabond? Like,
Yeah.
what was the turning point? Like, what switched for you?
Yeah. So 2024, my partner and I went down to Ecuador. He's from there.
Okay.
And so we went down there for like almost a whole month. And that was my first time. I've been out of the country. I've been to Europe. I've been
Yeah.
to other, Mexico, whatever. It was my first time in South America. And it was kind of my first experience being like, whoa, like what would it look like to not live in the US, to not live in California? I grew up in Orange County, California, and that's where I've lived my entire life. And so after being there for like a month, we were kind of like, what would it look like to live here? Now he's lived all over. He's lived in
Yeah.
Argentina and Ecuador and like all these other places, America. And obviously had made the move from Ecuador to America, like living in a different country. And I was like, what would that look like for me? And so that kind of sparked my brain. And we talked about potentially living in South America and then kind of like living other places. And then course, the Instagram algorithm, it knows you so well, right? So I'm
Yeah.
on Instagram and all of a sudden I come across a girl who's living in Portugal and then someone who's living in Spain. And I just start kind of seeing all of these people like me doing that, living abroad. And I was like, okay, like what would that look like? And so we started to talk about it and I started to look into like the legal logistics of it. And of course, that is like, again, the non sexy part, the legal logistics part. So
Yeah.
it is
Yeah.
sometimes complicated. You can't just be like, I'm going to move to Portugal or I'm going to move to wherever, you can't do that. So we started to kind of figure out, okay, well, what if instead of trying to get visas and move my business and reallocate every single bit of our lives before we even know if we would like it, let's just kind of travel for a year and see if something sticks, where we might want to land, if we want to land somewhere, and what that looks like. So we set off on December 31st, 2024. We literally flew in the plane and we landed on like basically at midnight, January 1st, 2025 in Ecuador. So we went to Quito, which is the capital city there. And for those of you who have never been to Ecuador, probably most of you,
Yeah.
Quito, Ecuador is very high up in altitude. And I think a lot of people think of South America being like hot and like jungly. And like, yes, there are places that are like that in Ecuador, but Ecuador is a very diverse country. And Quito is actually like almost 10,000 feet above sea level.
Oh
So you
my
get there
God.
and you're like, a lot of people get altitude sickness, like it's a real thing.
I'm already
We
dizzy.
Yeah,
Like,
it's crazy. But it's such a beautiful city. So we ended up living there. He has family there, friends there. And we ended up living there for 7 months. And that was the craziest thing because we only had planned to be there for about 3 months. But I actually got some opportunities. Meanwhile, I'm still working, right? So I'm still
yeah.
uh, doing my online business. I
Okay.
have courses, I have a membership, I have coaching clients. So I'm still running that. And we're just living life down in Ecuador.
And
And
how's your
actually,
family? Like, is your family like, oh, my daughter's in keto? Like,
yeah, yeah.
yeah, okay.
So I had told them, I was like, okay, so we literally, I think, told them beginning of December because I knew that my family would be a little bit more like, what are you doing? I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
So we told them, I was like, okay, I have some big news. And they're like, you're pregnant. I'm like, no, I'm not pregnant. They're like, you're getting married. I'm like, no, I'm not getting married. We're going to go live abroad in the world for a year. And that was kind of their big thing. And they were like, okay, like my brothers were definitely very excited and supportive.
Yeah.
My mom was a little bit nervous, as one
Yeah.
a mother would be.
Yeah.
But she was like, no, I'm excited for you. Like, I'm so excited that you're going to
Okay.
just do this. Like, what people don't do this.
No, I feel like
And
they used to, like in the
mm,
old days, like
yeah,
17, 1800s. But today it's like everybody's very comfortable, very set in their ways. So this is especially Americans. So we're like,
yeah,
what? You know?
yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
I think the funny thing was when I told my therapist, that was actually the most shocking reaction. Because, I'm telling friends, I'm telling family, whatever. And I tell my therapist, and she's like, what? You're going to do what? And I've been with my therapist for 7 years. So and I've been through so much. Like, I've been through a
Yeah.
divorce with her, I've been through all of these ups and downs. And that was like her reaction, I think, was just she was shocked and surprised by it. But she was like, wow, like, that's actually like a big deal. And I was like, yeah, it's a big deal. But like to me, it just feels like the next right step. But I
Yeah.
think like she was the most shocked. And I was like, you're a therapist. You're not allowed to be shocked. But I think it was just such a
Yeah.
human reaction because it truly is a big deal to
Yeah.
put everything in storage. We sold both of our cars. We had nothing here. We were homeless, basically. Like if you think about it, we didn't have ties to life here. And we just put, things in suitcases. We had 4 suitcases and took off. So yeah, it was wild. It definitely was
So,
like in my mind felt right. But in other people's minds who hadn't been researching and doing all this and maybe surrounded by the algorithm, like this
yeah.
idea, it's crazy. Yeah, it is crazy. And I realize that now.
Yeah, but you have such good stories, I am sure, for like future generations. This is awesome. So, literally, it was kind of like a wake up and, I think I'm gonna move to the other
Yeah.
side of the world.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
so liberating.
Yeah. And so after we were in Ecuador, we actually did some work down there. I was able to produce an entire photo shoot. A brand had reached out to me, a brand in the hair industry, had reached out to me, and they needed some photos of their core product line. And that is like what I do within my business, because I have a social suite membership that basically gives hairstylists content for them. So we shoot a lot of photos, we shoot a lot of videos for that membership. So that is something that, like, kind of behind the scenes, I'm like a content creator for the hairstylist, I guess is what you could say,
Okay.
but product photographer. And
Okay.
so this brand had reached out to me. I had worked with them in the past, and they were like, we want to hire you for this. And I was like, cool, I'm living abroad right now. I absolutely could come back to the US. I could come back and shoot it there, but it just didn't logistically make sense, because in Ecuador, things are a lot less expensive. So I was like, well, what if we did the shoot here? It's going to save the brand budget. It's going to just like work out better. So the
Hmm.
brand shipped everything down. That was a thing in it of itself,
Whoa.
but they shipped everything down. We produced the shoot, we shot it, hired a salon, hired all these models, everything, produced the shoot down there. And then that was kind of like our closing chapter. We were kind of just waiting for that. It took a little bit more time than we thought, but
Hmm.
we were waiting for that. And then after that, we left from Ecuador and went over to Europe. And we did like a month in Portugal. We did a month in Scotland, England, a month in Ireland, some time in, like, we spent a couple weeks in London, Paris. We did some Spain, Barcelona, Madrid, and then a bunch of little towns in between. We spent some time in Mallorca. And then we came back for Thanksgiving to spend with my family. We surprised them. They did not think that
That
we were
was
coming back.
cute.
And then we went back down to Ecuador for about 2 months just to kind of wrap everything up, get some stuff that we had left down there. And then we came back to the US and we were like, do we want to settle in Southern California, or is this time for a move? And so we decided to move to Phoenix. So
Oh.
that's where I'm currently, which is so fun. But I don't think that if I had just not traveled for the year, I don't think I would have just like up and moved my life to like a whole new state. But like coming back, it just felt normal. Like, okay, like where are we going to go next? And I'm definitely happy to be settled. It totally is a part-time job to be traveling full-time and working
Mm,
full-time and trying to just
yeah.
figure out logistics. So like it's not every, it's not all rainbows and sunshines that you see on Instagram and stuff, but
Mm.
it was such a cool experience. I'm so grateful that we did it. And I definitely see travel in a different way now. I think that, for instance, like we live in Phoenix, it's a million
Mm.
degrees in the summer. We'll probably be gone for like a month traveling somewhere, just
Yeah.
because why not? You can. And especially like
Right.
I just feel grateful that I work from anywhere. So I can work in different time zones. I'm flexible with that. And it's because of the life that I've built with this business. And I'm so grateful for that. But yeah, that's kind of
Oh
a
my.
year
Okay,
wrapped up, I
so
guess.
okay. So were you doing hair or in all these different places, or were you just like online business, totally like milking the blessings that we have now living in the whatever century we're in now?
Yeah. Yeah. So I didn't do hair, and I haven't
Okay.
actually done hair behind the chair since 2018.
Okay.
So I started the online business in 2016
Hmm.
and was working part time in that business and working part time as a
Sure.
hairstylist, had a
Yeah.
full clientele, had an assistant, had a salon, everything. And I decided to give up my full six-figure business as a hairstylist and
Yeah.
go full time into online education or working with brands.
Sure.
And yeah, and haven't looked back since. So, I do hair a little bit for like YouTube education and
Yeah.
stuff.
Right.
But I don't take clients or anything like that. I do miss it sometimes. I do miss that like
Yeah.
interaction with clients or, other hairstylists and salon, but it's just, I don't have the capacity to do both
You
at
can't.
this time. Yeah.
You're definitely still getting your creative juices out and going just in a different medium,
Yeah,
you know?
definitely.
So, with all this traveling, what was the biggest lesson, I guess, that you learned for your life? Right? These are
Mm,
deep
yeah.
questions, so get ready.
Yeah.
But I'm like,
Yeah.
every country you learn something. So, like, you
Yes.
went all over. So, what was the big one?
Yeah. The one that comes to mind when you ask me that question, I think for me is like just learning to be adaptable. That's not something I'm good
Mm.
at. My
Oh.
partner's very good at it. I am not. I'm very much like, I like to control things. I like to control the outcome. I like to make sure that everything's planned out. It's how I grew up.
Hmm.
And the environment we grow up in shapes us into who we are. And so that for me is definitely like, I don't like, when I started out on this trip, I wanted to know where we were going to be in 2 weeks. I wanted to know what hotel we were going to stay at. And you can't do that when you're living like this. You can, but you're going to miss out on a lot of things because, for
Mhm.
instance, maybe you're like, oh, we're supposed to go here in 2 weeks. And then you realize, but we love being here. Why would we move on to that just because that was on the schedule? So we chose to be really flexible, especially when we got over to Europe. There were days that I mean, pretty much every day we didn't know where we were staying the next night because it was just like, okay, we would get to the bed and breakfast or hotel or wasn't really hotels. It was a lot of like bed and breakfast. We didn't do full on hostels. I will say
Okay.
that.
I'm like
We did
dying over
some.
here.
No, we did some that were considered hostels, but it was like a private room and you had your own private bathroom. Like that was my big thing. I was like, private
Okay.
bathroom. I'm not sharing a
Yes.
bathroom with someone.
Yes.
Um, so a lot of, especially in Europe, there's so much where you can stay at these I guess they're considered hostels, but you have a private room, you have a
Mhm.
private bathroom, or like a bed and breakfast type of thing where it's like legit someone's house, but they have rooms available that you stay in, and then they like cook you breakfast in the morning. It's the craziest thing, and so fun, and I
So
love it. And you get to meet
cute.
so many characters and so many people. So that was like probably one of my favorite parts. But all that to be said is we would drive to some place and then we would get to the place that we were staying and then we would have to kind of like figure out what we were going to do the next day. So we would like use chat gpt to be like, okay, we're here, we want to kind of go here, what should we see along the way? So it would kind of give us like a route and then we would be like, okay, I think we can make it there in like 6 hours, but we'll spend all day. So where do we need to book in that area? Let's go on booking.com. Like my booking.com status is like peak because I've booked so many places on booking.com and Agoda. Uh, yeah, I have like highest status because I've booked like
There's
probably, I don't even
you
know,
got so
40
many
places or
benefits.
something. Yeah.
So
My
great.
status is just high level. But anyways, and then we would figure out where to go, and then we would do that the next day. So, and then there would be times where we would be chilling for sure. Like for like London, we stayed there for 10 days because it's London and we wanted to explore more. But yeah,
Exactly.
and then one like fun little thing that we did, I feel
Yeah.
like I'm talking a lot, but
No, this
one
is
fun thing that
great.
we did that I think is so cool was we did what's called trusted house sitters. So it's a website or an app. And basically, it's for people you sign up either as a house sitter or as a home. And people have their homes on this platform. And maybe they have a dog or they've got cats or a bird or whatever. And they need people to house sit for them. And you need a place to stay. So you get to stay for free and they get a free house sitter.
Oh
Um,
my God, this is
yeah.
great because I literally just saw this in
Did you
like
really?
I did. I saw this couple. It was in Puerto Rico because I really want to go to Puerto Rico.
Okay.
Everybody's going there, so I want to go with the
Mhm.
crowd, right?
Yes.
And they were doing it, and in this Facebook group, all the comments were like, "So you get to stay in my house for free," and it's like it was like a
Yeah.
whole thing. And you just told me what it is that they're doing, so that's
Yeah.
great. Thank you.
Yeah. So trusted house sitters, hit me up if you want a referral link. I can give you 25% off your year membership. But I love it. It's such a great tool. And I think now you have to pay $12 for every stay that you book, but whatever. It's like not a big deal, $12.
Fine.
Um,
Yeah.
so we did that and we ended up staying at one house in outside of London. It was about an hour and a half outside of London. And they had four cats. And it was just this charming town, like
So
normal life, right?
cute.
And then we
Yeah.
stayed in a home that had two dogs that was literally out of a fairy tale. This
Oh,
village that we stayed in was in the Cotswolds. So if anybody knows what the Cotswolds is, it's like this. It's exactly what you would picture in like Beauty and the Beast, like little village. Okay. So we stay in this village. There was probably maybe 30 homes in the entire village. It had a pub and it had a church, and that was it. Like
that
that
was
was
it.
how tiny it was.
Oh,
And we stayed in this gorgeous house that was literally like out of Architectural Digest. Like it was
this is
insane. The most
amazing.
beautiful home. We got to watch two dogs and we stayed there. And then in Ireland, we stayed in this little town, probably about an hour south of Dublin. And we stayed there for 2 weeks and we watched two dogs. So that was a really easy way for us to save money because
Yeah.
obviously, accommodations cost
Yeah.
money and quite
Yeah.
a bit sometimes. But also be able to kind of relax and chill and like catch up on work and have a normal meal, like go
Yeah.
to the grocery store, buy food, cook
Yeah.
food, have like an espresso machine, like have
Oh.
a normal shower for like a little bit because your
Yeah.
nervous system definitely can get dysregulated when you're constantly on the move like that.
Mm.
So having a way to kind of just like, oh, this is normal for 2 weeks. Have a dog that you're taking care of, and just kind of relax for a minute. So, and also
I,
experience like what life is like in these small villages and in these small
yeah.
towns that I would never ever go there, like in my
Yeah.
entire life. And I got a chance to live there for like 2 weeks, which was so fun.
This is so inspiring. And when I saw like you came back home to the United States, I was like, girl, we gotta talk. Like, this is
Yes.
insane, but in the best
Yeah.
way. Okay.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
with that big life lesson of adaptability, like that's a huge one. That's like getting out of your comfort zone, really learning, right? Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So what just kind of going back now, looking back at your life before this whole year,
Yeah.
what was your biggest struggle and how did you overcome that?
Yeah. That's a great question. I have gone through a lot, and I think so many of us have, right?
Yeah.
Like, I would say that so I started this online business and I kind of track my journey. Obviously I started in the hair industry when I was like 18 years old, technically 17 when I started working in a salon.
Okay.
So I was a baby when I got into
Yeah.
this industry. And my life was crazy at that point. Like I just was living life, working as a,
Yeah.
hairstylist, building my business. And then I created this online business. And I feel like that was kind of the pivotal moment for me, like 2016. And I was still like 23 years old. Like I was still so
Yeah.
young.
Hmm.
But that was kind of the thing where I was like, okay, like insane personal growth, like starting a business, building anything really outside of yourself is like the most um biggest personal growth journey that you can do, the biggest personal growth
Yes.
experiment you can have,
Yes.
right? Let's
Yep.
start a business, let's open a salon, right? Like that's always
That's
it's
what I
challenging.
that's what I tell my coaching clients. Like, you want
Yes.
ultimate personal development? Open a
Yeah.
salon. Yeah.
Open a salon, open a business,
Yeah.
start something that's not just you. So that was 2016. And then it grew really rapidly. And it was because I was one of the very first in the hair
Yeah.
industry to really have online education
Yes.
in that way. And even in the online education space, I still was one of the very first ones doing it really well, I would say. So I got into that 2018 explosive, 2019 explosive, and then 2020 hits.
Uh-huh.
And to be honest, 2020 was our best year financially. However,
Mhm.
I was burnt out by the end of
Yeah.
that because when everybody else kind of was like trying to figure out what was going on with COVID, I literally was like, oh my gosh, the hair industry is freaking out right now. How can I step in and kind of be that person that people can look to because everybody else is like running around with chickens with their heads cut off? Like nobody
Right.
knew what to do. And so everybody else was like, I'm chilling out. I'm watching TikTok. I'm watching Tiger King on the couch, like just
Yes.
chilling. And I was like, okay, this is my
Opportunity.
chance
Hmm.
to show up for them. So I just like was hardcore hustle. Like I was literally working probably 10, 12-hour days trying to build education for hairstylists who had just gotten their salon shut down, who was just trying to figure things out. And I launched a course within like 30 days. My team and I like pulled it together. And that year really was, I had revamped one of my other courses. I had launched all this education. I was just like online, really
Hmm.
trying to show up. And after that year, I came out really burnt out. And since that, every year revenue has gone down. And I think there's a lot of aspects to it. I think
Hmm.
that it's been the industry as a whole. I think the economy as a whole. I think we were flooded with a lot of education in 2020, 2021. I think
Hmm.
a lot of hairstylists left the industry. Like there just is, it was a perfect storm, right?
Yeah.
Obviously, the world was freaking out too. Like we
Yeah.
can't minimize that was a big part of it as well.
Yeah.
I think a lot of us have like, to be honest, like PTSD or like trauma from that year in different ways.
Yeah.
And so I think, and then I went through a divorce in 2022. So, and for it was a 2 year long process to go through that. So I think for me, like that was just like a really hard year where I was trying to figure out myself and figure out this business. And I lost so much in the divorce and financially, and,
Hmm.
just there's so much. And I think that like, I was like, okay, where do I reclaim like who I am again? Like what
Hmm.
I need to do. And like how am I meant to still show up in this business, still show up for this industry?
Yeah.
And I kind of lost it for a little bit. And I think that that's normal, right? Like we had to kind of get to burn it down and to kind of be able to rebuild. And
Yeah.
I definitely burned it a lot down,
Yeah.
so that was kind of like, yeah. And then 2024 was kind of like discovering, like, okay, like for me, starting the online business was the biggest risk I could have taken, especially at 23 years old, being like,
Yeah.
I'm just going to do this. Like, let's go,
Yeah.
go all in. And I did.
Yeah.
And this was kind of my next, like, okay, I'm going to live abroad. That's a big risk. It could be crazy. It could not work out, but like, I'll figure it out.
Right.
And I'm going to take this risk and I'm just going to do it. And I'm so glad I did. And it was kind of like my chance to like, when I say I'm going to do something or like I really want to do it, I do
Hmm.
it.
Yeah.
And that was kind of like my thing. I'm like, I have to do this for myself. So,
That's
yeah.
amazing. Okay, now this is a similar question. The struggle was like, what do I do? Now,
Yeah.
this question is, what was your biggest failure?
Mm,
Personal or professional? Like in our industry, it's pretty much intertwined. So,
yeah.
what was that for you, and how did you overcome it? What was the lesson that you learned?
Wow. Yeah. Lots of failures are like coming up in my brain, and I'm just trying to think through like what was the biggest one. I don't love the word failure because I failure feels very final,
Yeah.
right? Like a failure to launch, the rocket explodes and it's final. It's not coming back, right? You got to
Right,
like
right,
completely
right.
start over from scratch. And I don't look at my life that way. I guess for me, like there are maybe missteps I've taken along the way or things that I have gone through,
Hmm.
but I also don't look at it as like necessarily a bad thing. Like, sure, in the moment, it's so hard, like
Yeah.
it's devastating. But I don't look at it as like a failure because I see those things. I'm like, okay, that's how it shaped me into the person that I am. For instance, like my divorce, going through that
Hmm.
was one of the hardest things. I lost so much in that. Everything that I had built, my ex took it from me.
Mm.
Um, and legally was allowed to because I started things so young. So, anyways,
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
was not necessarily a failure, but for me, I just knew like coming out of it, I was like, even if I lost everything to my name, I can rebuild this because I've already built it once. Like I
Mm.
can do this again. Like
Right.
screw him. What does he think
Right.
he's going to take from me? Like I can do this again. I've already done it. In fact, I'll be
Yeah.
able to do it faster or
Yeah.
different. And I have 10 years of experience to be able to do this differently.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I wouldn't necessarily say failures. Like I've even had stuff where I've worked with brands that like have screwed me over big time. Big time.
Mm.
I've never talked about it publicly. I've never said that out loud, like their names or whatever. I don't have an NDA. I absolutely could ruin them. Like it could not, it would
Right.
not be good. But I chose not to because it's just like, okay, I learned from that. Not going to do that again. And we
Hmm.
do things differently now. So yeah, I feel like, I don't know, the word failure just feels really permanent and like
Yeah.
that's the end. And it's like, it's not the end. Like, we just keep going. We're just going to figure it
Yeah.
out. Yeah.
Yeah. With what you just said with like big brands and like screwing up people over and all that, why do you think that they do that? Like what's the MO with that?
Yeah. I mean, I think every brand's different, right?
Hmm.
I think that there's some brands that are very corporate, and we know the corporate brands, and then there's some brands that are more like family owned brands,
Right.
family
Right.
businesses or whatever.
Right.
Um, in my case, I think it came down to just like selfishness is the word that's coming up for me. But yeah, like we are here to get to the top and it doesn't matter who
Mm.
we step on to get there. It doesn't matter who we use to get
Okay.
there. Because
Okay.
I definitely got used in certain situations. So that's what I would say. It's like, yeah, it doesn't matter.
So
We're
it's
here to get to the
very
top. So
so it's always like, especially, as a coach and then with all that kind of learning that you accumulate through therapy and self-help books, hurt people.
yeah,
So these big industry brands are actually like babies who are very
yeah,
hurting
yeah,
other people, squashing people because that's how they think they get to the top.
yeah. A lot of toxic energy,
It's
and you're just
toxic.
like, I think when you can see it for what it is, of like, oh, that's why I was treated that way. And it reflects more on them than it does on me. And I remember I was in London
Hmm.
and I was having a conversation with one of these brands, somebody
Hmm.
who's the high up at the
Yeah.
brand. And in that moment, I was like, I'm just going to stay silent. Let them talk. Let them yap, 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 whatever, say what they need to say and not apologize. I did my job. I did what I was there for.
Mm,
I did what the contract required of me.
sure.
And I feel like I did my best. So
Right.
it is what it is.
Yeah.
They're not happy. Okay, that's fine. But the way that it came across to me was just seeing the like hurt person inside
Yeah.
projecting
Yeah.
that. And it's like, okay, yeah, again, I don't need this relationship. Like I'm good on my
Right.
own.
Yeah.
Um, and just a reminder for me of like, okay, like you are good enough to stand up for yourself. You don't need to take that. And that's taken me a really long time to get there.
Yeah.
I definitely think I grew up more as like a people pleaser and just like, no, like how can I make it right? I'm like, no, I did what I said I was gonna do. I did a
Hmm.
great job. And this person
Right.
is just projecting their own insecurities onto me. I don't need
N-
that. So yeah,
No.
I think that's like a really great thing, like what you just said, of just like hurt people. And it's so true. And when you can recognize that, it just takes like the pressure off of you because you're not like, oh, this has literally nothing to do with me.
Right.
Absolutely nothing to do with me. This is you. And okay,
Yeah.
I can recognize
Yeah.
that.
I love that. I do. I really do. And it's so unfortunate. Like, the industry has been changing so much so quickly for years, but especially with
Yeah.
COVID, that has, oh my God, accelerated.
Yeah.
And now a lot more stylists and beauty pros are focusing on the boring side, the business side,
Yeah.
right? But it's almost so much that they're forgetting if your mental health space and your heart and your mind don't match, no formula is going to help you where
Yeah.
it really counts, And so the
Yeah.
for the brands to be misbehaving, that's not cool, guys. All
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I wouldn't say that it's all right. There
No,
definitely are great
right.
brands I've worked with, and
Yeah.
they're not all bad, right? It's just a
Right.
few people that, unfortunately, like again, like it is what it is. And you're going to come across that in
Yeah.
any industry. But I think just like, yeah, learning to be like really secure in yourself of just like, what do I bring to the table? What do I
Yes.
offer? And like,
Yes.
am I doing what feels right for me?
Yeah.
Cool. Then like it doesn't matter,
You
you
know,
know?
I've had my own experiences with the Beauty Pro podcast and some guests, and it's like, okay, I mean, that's cool. You're gonna miss out. That sucks for you. But
Yeah.
in any case, so we're
Yeah.
gonna move on.
Now that we got the juicy tea out of the way.
Both like in
Now people are
life.
going to be like, wait, what? Who is she talking about? I'm
Who
like,
are they
well,
talking
you can
about?
figure it out.
What's the tea? Anyway,
Yeah, yeah.
so with all of that, what has been your favorite insult that is like your driving force? That is like, I'm so happy I got that insult.
Yeah. So when I left my first salon, so I was at that salon for 5 years. It was the salon I
Okay.
started at. I was an assistant, commission, rental stylist, whatever. And I chose to go out and open up a salon suite. Okay. So this was like in the beginning days of like when salon suites were just starting out.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And I was like, I was originally going to open a salon, but I just decided to go into a salon suite. And I was like, my growth was just like ready. Like I was ready to kind of like expand and grow. And that salon was just holding me back. It was kind of a toxic environment, and whatever. But I remember telling the salon owner, I had said to him, I got in a meeting with him. I was like, hey, by the way, I'm going to move out on my own next week. Will be my last week, whatever. And I remember him saying something to the effect of like, okay, well, when it doesn't work out, you can always come back here. And I think he meant that as like a nice thing. But I think for me, it was like when it doesn't work out, like not like if it doesn't work out. I think it was
Yeah,
just like whatever about his air was just like, yeah, yeah, okay, cute, go do your little thing, like whatever.
yeah,
And then after I left, they were like super toxic and like badmouth me, whatever. Like it is what it is. Like that's just kind of sometimes salon culture. And that's how, especially how it was back then. But I remember just thinking, like, when it doesn't work out, like, F you. Like, I am going to, like, yeah. And I remember saying to myself, I was like, I want to be in Cosmoprof's magazine so that when you are flipping through it and you get it in the mail, you're going to see my face there. Like, I want to be on stages so that when you have to go to the hair show, you're going to have to see my name. Like, I just
love
remember being
that.
like, okay, like, don't even. And
Yeah.
yeah, that was a huge, like, is that toxic? I don't know. But for me, that at the time was very much like a driving force. Yeah. And then I've also had ones like, of course, like being a YouTube educator,
Yeah.
YouTube is pretty rough. I've heard TikTok's really bad. Thank God I don't do TikTok, but
Uh,
her TikTok comments are pretty rough.
TikTok
But you,
is so controversial for me. Like I can't deal. But anyway.
yeah, yeah, but YouTube comments, I choose not to read the comments
Okay.
because sometimes it just gets crazy. But the one that sticks out to me was I get told that I talk a lot with my hands. I'm like, whatever, like tough. That's how I am. But
So what?
um, one of them was your glasses are crooked. I think her nose is broken or something like that. And I was like,
Stop.
cool, 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 cool. So I just think that's a funny insult. Like I
That
know I
was
laugh at it, you know?
that's kind of cute. I mean, and now you're
Yeah.
always like, okay, wait, are my
Yeah.
glasses
And
good? Like,
guess what? My glasses are crooked, my ears are off. Like it is what it is. Like,
so I
but
haven't even
it's just
noticed
funny.
that this whole time. I'm like, she
I
seriously.
think it was slightly different glasses, but whatever. It's just
I
funny,
am I'm over here like, man, her glasses are really cool. She can pull that off like this whole time. And I'm like, I wonder
Thank you.
how I would look with those glasses. Like, I'm just like, anyway, that's cool.
That's so funny.
Screw that
Thank you.
person.
Thank you. Yes.
So, with that, what is working in the industry, working with the brands, working in all the different areas that you have? You obviously learn some things along the way that you wish people not in the industry, like your ex,
Mhm.
your family, your current boyfriend, like all your therapist. What
Yeah.
is that lesson that you wish those people would understand from everything that you have been through?
That's a great question. I think obviously the people that are closest to you in your life, they see the struggles, right?
Yeah.
Um, and they see the good times and they see the hard times. I think like my partner currently, he's so supportive of just like everything that I do, of like, he's like, wow, I'm just like so proud of you, like all the things that you've done and you do. And he's like, it's so inspiring. Like it's inspiring to me. It's like I
Oh.
admire that. And I think for me, like having somebody to like fully believe in you is
Mm.
so pivotal. And
Mm-mm-hmm.
it's sad that not everybody has that necessarily in their life. But I think for me, like, I think what people don't see the side that, maybe my family or my friends or whatever, like, don't necessarily see. I'm like, my brain is on 24/7. And I think that's like life of a creative and life of a business owner. But like,
Yeah.
I'm constantly thinking about like, okay, how could I do this? What could I tweak here? What about this? Like, oh, this would be a good idea for a video. Like your brain's
Yeah.
just like constantly going. And I think sometimes for people who maybe don't run a business or like don't have that constant chatter in their head,
Mm.
they don't realize that like, oh my gosh, like maybe that's why Jamie's a little distant today because I'm like thinking about something else. So yeah, I would say that my brain is like constantly going. And I will say though that traveling did help that
Okay.
because I had to turn it off because you'd be like, we're here in London at like just somewhere crazy. You're like, okay, I'm focusing on this. Like, I can't be thinking about that. So I do think that that helped me. And I will say, like,
Yeah.
coming back to kind of like normal life, more normal routine, it's made me shift my perspective of like, okay, we can turn that off a little bit more. And I
Hmm.
think that there is a healthy balance. Sometimes it's hard. Sometimes it doesn't naturally just turn off because you sometimes can't turn off the thoughts in your head, but have more normal routines, have things that aren't only business. And that's definitely been a struggle that I've dealt with, like running this business for so long. But yeah, I would say that it's getting a little bit more balanced.
Yeah.
And you're always having to work on that for sure.
Do you believe in work and life balance?
I do. I think that there definitely is like, and it's funny because probably if anybody who's listened to any podcast episode that I was on, maybe 8 years ago, 10 years ago, 9 years ago, I'd
Yeah.
be like, work life balance, what is she? Like, is it possible? Um, and I probably had said that because I heard somebody else say that, to be
Yeah.
honest. But
Yeah.
how I feel about it now, like, yes, there is a way to do it. I think that that balance is always going to ebb and flow, right? There's going to be
Yeah.
seasons where you're going to be working a little bit more, or seasons where you get to pull back. Like this last year was a season where I told my team, I was like, we're in maintenance mode. We're not trying to grow. We're not trying to expand. We're in maintenance mode. And we did that. And that's awesome. The fact that we could maintain the business while I was gone for a year,
Yeah.
amazing. Um, so now we're in a season of, okay, it's time to grow. It's time to do some things, rebuild, not rebuild, but just build up a little bit
Hmm.
more.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, I think like there should be the work-life balance, but I think that there's seasons for it too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I agree with that. Whatever you focus on, that's what is gonna grow, you know?
definitely.
So now that you're back in the States, um, any more vacations?
Oh yeah. I mean, I think for me, travel absolutely is part of my life. And I think like one thing that I'm really grateful for is I have gotten to travel for
Yeah.
this work specifically of like just getting to go to classes or like
Yeah.
I taught a class in Philadelphia. I wouldn't necessarily have
Okay.
gone there, but like I taught a class, actually it was in Reading, Pennsylvania, but I flew into Philadelphia,
Yeah.
spent a day there, like got to go to Pennsylvania, like how
Yeah.
cool is that? So I'm grateful that like I do get opportunities for that. And yeah, I think like I know the only thing I have on the calendar right now is I'm speaking at Premier Orlando. So I will be
I
there.
get to see
And
you in
yeah,
person. I'll be
yeah,
teaching. Yeah.
that'll be so fun. So I'm teaching at that. That's the
Okay.
only thing I have on the calendar. I think my whole goal right now has just been like getting settled, and then we'll
Yeah.
figure out trips. But also too, I think because we traveled like so much last year, I don't feel the need to be like, oh, I have to book something for 3 months. Like it will
Hmm.
literally just be like, oh, let's just drive this weekend or let's just fly out this weekend. Like
Love it.
we're very last minute travelers now,
Yeah.
which is great because you can
That's
just be like,
cool.
oh, where do we want to go? Let's go to Mexico City for the week, or
That's
whatever. So it's
so
like
cool.
less, a little bit more flexible, which is nice. Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
So, what do you have going on now that you're home in the United States? What do you have going on that the listeners, the viewers today, that they can connect with you and like get on board and reconnect and all that?
Yeah. I mean, for me, because I've been in maintenance mode, like a lot of my content and things have been just everything that I've built over,
Hmm.
the last 10 years, like my education on YouTube and
Yeah.
stuff. Like there's just hundreds of hours of free education over there, which is amazing.
Yeah.
And now kind of coming back to the States, like we're getting back into YouTube,
Yeah.
once I gotta find a filming space or whatever, but getting back into YouTube, sharing more content there. And I think I feel a pivot coming in the business for sure. I've talked
Okay.
about Instagram for so long. And I love Instagram, don't get me
Hmm.
wrong, but I definitely feel like just kind of it might be time to kind of move in a new direction. And I love to talk about finances. I love to talk about personal finance, business finance, investing, all of that. So I definitely see myself talking more about that soon and kind of maybe, yeah, sharing a bit more of that. I think that a lot of people in the beauty industry are women or creatives. We don't necessarily have stable income. We don't have 401k accounts. Most salons do not have that built into their structure.
Hmm.
Um, a lot of us barely even have a savings account, let alone investing. And, I talk to a lot of stylists, especially when I teach at hair shows. These stylists are 50, 60 years old, still working because they have to.
Yeah.
And my goal would be to help hairstylists not have to do that when your body starts to break down, to be able to
Hmm.
pull back. Maybe not fully get up. Maybe like
Yeah.
you want to go down to like 1 or 2 days a week and see your bread and butter clients, but
Right.
at 60 years old, we can't be doing blow dries and, like hunched over a shampoo bowl. So
Yeah.
my goal would be to help creative entrepreneurs or really anybody,
Hmm.
but specifically women, understand how to invest in their future and like how to become financially independent so that one day they don't have to work full time or they don't have to work at all and they can enjoy the things that they've built, this life that they've built. So that would be kind of, I think, where we're going next. Have not released anything about it. There's no like courses or anything coming up
Right,
yet
right,
that I
right.
know of, but yeah, just kind of even just sharing my journey. And to be honest, this is not something that I said, but one of the reasons why we chose to move abroad was to save money. And
Yeah.
most people would think you just traveled the world for a year. How did you afford that? I'm like, no, we actually saved money
I
while
believe
we were
it.
doing that. So I definitely plan to talk more about that
That
because
is
it's possible.
exciting. Yeah.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
is something I am looking forward to seeing, because pivoting can be really scary, especially for what we do as creatives in whatever medium you are creative in. Pivoting can be terrifying, but so worth it as
Yeah.
well. So,
Yeah.
really, we're gonna wrap it up because time is ticking, but what is something that nobody agrees with you about?
Oh my gosh. Oh, this is a juicy one. Gosh, I gotta think about it. Something that nobody agrees with me about. I feel like I've been putting out some more, not even like hot takes, like on the internet, but I wouldn't say nobody agrees with me on this one, but I definitely like get people like in the comments sometimes of
Mm.
like YouTube or Instagram being like, I want to do it like this. But for some reason, there's controversy in the hair industry about using like Reynolds foils for your foils.
Oh, I
Have you
just,
heard about this?
yes.
What in the
Uh,
heck? Where did this come from?
I don't
Because,
understand it. It's totally fine, you guys. Like, it's
yeah,
foil.
they're
It's foil.
foil. So maybe not like the roll of foil, right? Like the
Right.
the Reynolds roll of foil that you put
Right.
over your salad bowl. Maybe not that. Sure, I understand. But
Yeah.
like buying Reynolds or whatever brand you use, those foils, I call them burrito foils because they're
Yeah.
like the long big ones, and then you
Yeah.
tear them. That's what we used our entire lives in this
Yes.
hair industry. And now they have the fancy foils. They're very cute, don't get me wrong, but like using a Reynolds foil is okay, and they're not going to burn your client's hair off. So I don't know what that controversy is, where that came from, but my hot take is like I still use those foils. I actually sometimes like them better than the fancy foils. I feel like they
Yes.
just mold better. That's what I grew up on. That's what I use. So that's my hot take. Not everybody agrees with me because I don't know.
I love that
Yeah.
you said that because, yes, all the cutesy foils are great, but they are thicker. The
Yeah.
regular, what did you call them? Burrito foils?
Burrito
Oh
foils.
my God.
Yes.
Me personally, we still use them in my salon, and I find it therapeutic to rip them,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
fold them, tear them, make them smaller, bigger, all that stuff. I love it. And I know my assistants hate it to like do them. Everybody hates making foils, but it's
Yeah.
the best.
Yeah. And they
Uh,
actually work great and it's significantly cheaper. So when we're talking about finances,
yes.
that's a way to save money in the
Yeah.
salon. Don't get me wrong. I love a good fancy foil. I think that there's a time and a place for them, but
Yes.
not all the time. Personally, for
Come
me, that's
on.
my hot take.
Come
Yeah.
on. I agree. I second it. All right. So, as our final question, what is one question that you wish I would have asked that I didn't? Because I know
Ooh,
we went over a lot. And how
yeah.
would you have answered?
Oh my gosh. So good. You have like great questions. You're making me think, which is amazing. It's
It's
funny
the
because usually when
it's the
I was gonna say
coach
when
in
I'm
me. It's the coach in me.
totally,
I'm
I love it.
sorry.
You're
I'm
making me
sorry.
think. So good.
Go. Go.
Usually when I'm on podcasts, I do get asked all the time of like, what's working on Instagram now, type of thing, because that's usually what I talk about. But
Sure.
I love podcasts where we do get to share more behind the scenes and just share like what's going on in life versus
Yeah.
just like what's the strategies for Instagram. So, um, one thing I will say, yeah, like I think what is working for Instagram right now, let's just answer it because a lot of people always want to ask me that. I think what's working for Instagram now is just like having a profile that's set up that's kind of like evergreen, meaning it's set up right from the beginning. It has, your bio's good. You've got Instagram highlights set up, almost like tabs on a website. You have a
Mm,
pinned post. You're posting consistently, but I don't believe that you need to be posting every day. Once or twice a week is great. 2 to 3 times a week is even better.
mm,
But like I think as hairstylists, kind of what you're like just barely touching on with like the mental health of like
mm,
so many of us are so worried about like the business side, the Instagram side, the like everything about what we do as a hairstylist. It's
mm-hmm.
draining, and we have to be taking care of our mental health more than we need to be taking care of our Instagram account. And so for me, I think that hairstylists don't need to worry so much about
Right.
Instagram like they did in the past. That like, yes, it does help you get clients, but there can be a sustainable way of doing Instagram, using tools like my membership, using other things like planning software, like not having to create it all yourself, like not having to post every single day. So that's what I would say. And I think like, again, my mission is more important about like hairstylists having good mental health and feeling good about their business and that versus like, well, you got to post 6 times a week and get those reels up. Like, no,
Yeah.
no, if that's not sustainable for you, which for most hairstylists it isn't, for
Mm-mm.
me it isn't,
Right.
then don't do that. So
Right. I
hot
love
take, I
it.
don't know, is that a hot take?
I
But
don't,
yeah, just more so
if it
like
is,
that's how I would have
great.
answered that question.
Yeah. No, I love that. And mental health is a big deal for me as a coach and as a salon owner, right? And also for you too, because you just went through it for a whole year and you're battling your demons, you're seeing it. So yeah. So if you want to collaborate on that, let's go, girl.
Yeah,
But besides
definitely.
that, anything final you want to say? We got a couple more minutes. Like, what do people need to know about you? Most importantly.
Yeah. Honestly, I'm just like so grateful again, like for all the opportunities that we get to have in the industry and kind of like what I said at the very beginning of just
Yeah.
like maybe you started in this industry and you're like, I'm just going to be a hairstylist. I'm
Hmm.
just, just going to work as a
Oh,
commission stylist. Like there are other opportunities out there, whether it's starting a podcast, being a hair influencer, working with brands as a UGC creator, like creating content for them behind the scenes, never posting it on your page,
yeah.
working as a consultant for salons, like educating. Like there's so many things that we get to do in this industry. And I just feel so grateful that I've had the opportunity to do so many of them. But like maybe if you're feeling a little burnt out behind the chair, and you're just like, well, that's what I signed up to be. I'm just a hairstylist. Like, no, you're
Mm.
not. Like, you offer
Mhm.
so much value to the world. And there's so many little things that you could do as a creative, as a business owner. And like, no matter who you are in this industry, you are a business owner. Even if
Yeah.
you work for a salon, even if you are a commission stylist, you're a
Yeah.
business owner. And you're building your own brand and your own business, your own life. So don't discount yourself that you can do more if you want to. If you have a drive for that and you're feeling a little burnt out, like, okay, like maybe it's time for a pivot. And that's kind of like where I'm looking at my business right now. Like, yeah, I've been teaching Instagram for 10 years and it's awesome. And it's given me so much and I've helped the industry so much. Not to say that I'm done with it yet,
Hmm.
but I feel a pivot coming. I feel a little bit like being pulled in a new direction. And I'm
Yeah.
trying to listen into that and
Yes.
lean into that. So maybe you're feeling the same way listening to this, like, oh, what's my new direction? Listen into it, lean into it, and see where that path leads.
I love it. I love it. For all of you listening and watching, we're going to have Jamie's links in the show notes. So make sure you check them out. Stalk her on Instagram, find her, be encouraged by her.
Thank you.
And Jamie, thank you for coming on the Beauty Pro podcast.
Thank you again for having me. I love this conversation. It's fun. It's one I have not gotten to have on a podcast yet. So thank you for inviting me and for allowing me to just share a little bit of my story. I appreciate it.
I love it. Absolutely.